behind the scene, they work very hard to do what we do, to stay motivated. This is the Teachers Reality Show. This is the Teachers Reality Show.
The Teachers Naija Reality Show.
Do you know that a recent statistics by UNICEF says about 10.5 million children aged 5 to 14 years are not in school? Now, for a country with about 200 million people, that is quite alarming, don't you think? The question is, what are we doing about it? Welcome to another episode of the Teachers Naija Reality Show. My name is Oyare.
And I'm Babashir Fasheru. The level of decadence in the educational system can never be overemphasized. And that is why the need for the attention of the federal government and, of course, private organizations. Today, we'll have our smart teachers talk to our federal government on what they should do and what they can do to make our educational system better. So just sit back, relax, and make sure nobody in your family missed this episode.
You can also tag the Ministry of Education to see this. You don't want to miss this one?
We'll be right back.
This is the Teachers Reality Show.
The Teachers Naija Reality Show.
Good day, housemates. You're here on an individual task. You will be advising the federal government of Nigeria on how to make our educational system the best in the world. We expect the best from you, and we wish you all the best of luck.
And we are going to be judging you on a set of criteria, dressing, the points given, relevance of the point to the topic you'll be talking to, then your composure and time management. Now, each of these points carries 20%, a total of 100% for all. And you have 3 minutes to do this delivery.
Dear viewers, the topic before me states my advice to the federal government of Nigeria on how to improve the educational system. The word education states, or it means knowledge, enlightenment, or wisdom, and wisdom they say is profitable to direct. I propose to the federal government to understudy the learning mode of individual learners in the society, and introduce the learning ratio 50-50, which is 50% academic work and 50% skill development. Not just numeracy and literacy. And let's focus more on what our minds and hearts can create. This will help to curb the rate of unemployment in our society. SDG Goal 4 states, inclusive and equitable quality education with the introduction of EduAid, EduTech, and even distribution of technological devices to all educational institutions will help to improve our lesson deliveries and also help to improve all forms of learning in society. Federal government needs to understand that there are learning disability among the learners in society. To mention but a few, dyslexia, dyscalculia. These learners are unique and differently, and hence they need to be cared for. We need to say no to the ratio of 1 teacher to 25 learners in the classroom. This process is rigorous and tiring. So I advise them to do a thorough examination of the learners in the classroom to ensure that they are mentally and physically fit before enrollment. Hence, they need to adopt the ratio of 1 teacher to 10 to 12 pupils in the classroom for effective teaching and communication. Record has shown that Finland topped the record when it comes to good education. This is possible due to their consistency on the educational system. They need to know that they need to improve on the quality teachers they employ, viewers, and judges. John Mill in 1931 states that whatever we do for ourselves and whatever is done by others for us is what brought us nearer to the perfection of our nature. I am Michael Badibo Akonji, housemate number 1. Thank you.
Housemate number 1.
Yes, please.
You mentioned about 1:10 ratio.
Yes.
Do you think that is quite feasible in Nigeria?
Yes, with the employment of more teachers and more centers for we teaching, which is classroom, we'll be able to have effective teaching of 1 teacher to about 10 to 12 pupils per class. Because among these learners we are talking about, we have different learners with different learning functions. So having one teacher to 25 learners in the class is rigorous, and we know that one teacher cannot be effective with those 25 learners.
Okay.
It's surprising, Mr. Anyanwu, that you have that thought in mind, because that's exactly the same thing I'm thinking, that Nigeria, we have 200 million people.
Together.
And then if you're talking about a ratio of 1 to 10 pupils in a class, how realistic is that?
For me, I work in a private school, and it's a notion that you cannot have more than 10 to 12 pupils in your class, because where we have to undergo, before enrollment, we need to undergo the process of getting to know the function, the strength of each child. And some of them, sometimes we have some children who are short-sighted, some they have reading problems and like. So imagine having such classroom whereby the learners are not even being examined thoroughly to know what their strength is like. And in the end of it, it's not going to make our work being effective. That's why we have this large comparison between our private schools and our government schools when it comes to effective work.
So your proposal to the government
yes, a proposal to them that if they can meet up with the space of which, because all these ideas and concepts I've been given is coming from the area of as a private school teacher. So if that can also be beat up by the federal government as well, it's going to make everything unison.
We appreciate your thoughts on this, and we hope to give you more feedback.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Hello, judges. Hello, viewers. My name is Umar Bashir Mohammed, housemate number 3. I'm here to provide recommendations to the federal government on how to make our educational system the best in the world. It is worthy of note that teachers are at the center of educational transformation. Notwithstanding, the federal government has a huge role to play in the transformation of education in Nigeria. And one of my recommendations is that the federal government should employ more teachers into the field of education. Like if we take the rural schools, for instance, the teacher per student ratio, the teacher per subject ratio is extremely poor and alarming. So there need to be a balance to ensure the efficiency of teachers in their respective classroom. And the second point here is that the federal government should try as much as possible to make the teaching profession attractive and rewarding. Imagine being a teacher, having a comfortable salary and incentive. It will go a long way to attract other people who will be willing to go into the field of education as a career. Now, thirdly is that the federal government should train teachers to be ICT compliant. We all know that the importance of technology today in education cannot be overemphasized. So the government should not just train teachers to be ICT compliant. The government should also provide the necessary platforms and environment that will aid the delivery or the implementation of technological devices and tools in classroom. Now, fourthly is that there should be free education at all levels. When there is free education at all levels, education will be accessible, education will be compulsory for everyone at all levels. Then the next point is that the primary education should focus more on moral values and citizenship education. This will groom informed and tolerable citizens who are capable of making impactful or making positive impacts towards the development of the country. Then 6 is that the government should constantly engage teachers through conferences where they can strategize in rebuilding education, rethinking education, and rebranding education. And lastly is that educational curriculum should focus more on practicals rather than theory, because there is a popular Chinese saying that goes, what I hear, I forget, what I see, I remember, and what I do, I know. So if all these recommendations are being considered, I believe that the educational system of Nigeria will grow. So thank you very much.
Good day, everyone. Panel of judges studied on existing protocols. The subject before me says that I should advise the federal government on the step to take to improve the standard of education in Nigeria. Education standards are statutory requirements that is needed to be designed and to improve the quality of education system. This standard needs to be improved based on the way people migrate from the country to other countries. And this will actually reduce the migration from Nigeria to other countries. Firstly, I want to, based on discussion with Martina and Brittany from America, they said that there should be right to education, to free education. I want to suggest to the federal government that there should be free education for every Nigerian child. And this will help the less privileged, because every child has the right to be educated. Then secondly, I want to suggest to them that the federal government should properly monitor and checkmate the education processes. Like the last time Mr. Chikuma Chijoba, the former Minister of Education, says that over 173,000 primary schools are being governed by local government. They need to be checkmate by the quality assurance manager so that we have effective education. Then thirdly, the federal government, I want to suggest to the federal government that they should look into National Education Research Development Council so that our students, our teachers, our lecturers, there'll be more discovery, more discovery on educations, on the theories. We make experiment and make theories available so that we'll be able to equate ourselves even with other countries. Then thirdly, I want to suggest to them that on the issue of policies on education should be reviewed. Because if policies are reviewed, particularly the National Council on Education, if policies are reviewed, then we can have things being done the proper way. Now, the policies also could affect the fifth point that I want to mention, because the policy will make the payment policy, the payment role of lecturers and teachers, the mode of payment, which curtailed the risk of going for students going on strikes. So that one will curtail it. Another thing that I want to suggest to them is that availability of resources, infrastructures in our schools. Most of our schools, we have over 100 students in the classroom, and they are not able to learn well under that environment. So I want to suggest to them that infrastructure should be produced to all these schools. Then lastly, I want to suggest again for the platform that motivate teachers, lecturers, that they should be able to work in hand. Federal government should work in hand so that as soon as they are being encouraged, motivated, they'll be able to do more. Thank you.
But that was a good presentation. I appreciate the vibe, and the fact that you are linking education to migration issues. It's very critical that the issue with migration should be tied to education. Thank you.
Minister of Education, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Education, honorable judges, viewers at home, my name is Olubumi Victoria Honore, housemate number 6. Education has evolved, and as such, there has been rapid increase in the growth and development of education system, thereby bringing different transformations in learning styles, curriculum modification, and also the use of advanced technology. There is a say that no country rises above its educational system. Based on this, I would like to advise the federal government of Nigeria on how we can make our educational system the best in the world. Number 1, teachers should be paid attention to by giving them grants yearly, because there's a say that when a teacher is happy, the learners are happy. There should be in-service training for teachers regularly. There should also be increase in the number of teachers that are employed, both in quality and in quantity. Youth and adults should also be empowered through skill acquisition and funding. Federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Education, can also have an organized structure exchange program between Nigeria and other countries where teachers are taken from Nigeria to countries like Finland to study and observe the kind of education system they operate and come back to Nigeria to operate and, replicate the same thing. And finally, if the federal government can also consider the 3D Sustainable Development Goals, which are the economic, the social, and the environment, if they are well integrated, having the number 4 goal as a focus, which promotes inclusive and equitable education through long life learning opportunities, I believe that our educational system come 2030, which is the determinating point for the Sustainable Development Goal, Nigeria will be ranked among the first 3 developing countries with a sustainable educational system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Housemate number 6. I quite agree with all you said, and I love the way you had a background introduction to the educational system in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
On the 24th of October 2022, we had an American visitor here, Brittany Claiborne, and her sister. She said, and I quote, that every American child had access to basic education. This simply means that the value and functionality of a government is to ensure the provision of basic education for its citizenry. If the citizens lose belief in government proficiency in respect to providing basic education, then would have a problem. Just the same way we currently have an issue whereby over 10 million Nigerian children are out of school. Before I proceed, panel of judges, audience, I am contestant number 7 and my name is Richard Chinonso, and I'm here to speak on the point how federal government could improve our educational system. 1, there needs to be an increase in the budgetary allocation. This simply means that currently Nigeria has below 24% budgetary allocation for education, which is very poor for a country that is endowed with human resources and natural resources. This budgetary allocation needs to be increased from the 24% or 25% that we currently have to at least 98% to meet the world standard like the Finland, the Germany, and the whatnot. Second of all, the federal government needs to set up a committee that will look into this budgetary allocation to ensure that there's check and balances and this budget meets the needs that the education wants. Third, the government also needs to liaise with private organizations to ensure that they work hand in hand with this private organization as part of corporate social responsibility, where they can look into rural environments and educate the children and give the children in that area scholarships. This should bring about equality in Nigeria and bring about growth in education. The federal government also needs to liaise with or partner with private institutions to ensure that their school fees or their tuition fees is subsidized. This will ensure that an average Nigerian will be able to afford education. At the same time, it will put burden on public university. Also, the federal government needs to invest in research institutes. We lack research institutes in Nigeria. The federal government also needs to ensure that every individual who holds a political position is banned from sending their words outside to school. Because as it stands, Nigerians spend nothing less than 70 billion naira on education outside the country. The federal government also needs to ensure that if you hold a political post or a political position, you do not seek a medical attention outside. This will ensure that our medical school in Nigeria is taken proper care of, and our learners would also be learned without facing ASU strike due to the fact that the doctors are not well taken proper care of. Also, the federal government also needs to take note of salary increments for teachers, ensure that teachers are well remunerated. When teachers are well remunerated, that is when there will be high productivity and there will be less brain drain, because as it stands, a whole lot of people are leaving the country due to the fact that there's no enough money in education. If the government fails to do this, we'll be grooving in darkness. And hope of achieving a greater nation, or this aim, or these plans that we tend to achieve in 2030, where there will be education for all, will be in shambles. Thank you very much.
Do you have any questions?
No.
All protocols duly observed. My name is Olorunsaye Ibukunloa, Temple of God, housemate number 8. Today, I would like to advise the federal government on how to make the educational system the best in the world. It is no longer news that education has gone beyond going to school to be intellectually sound. Education affect all areas of our lives and hence must be treated with utmost priority. Number one, the use of ICT. The use of ICT in the educational sector cannot be overemphasized. The federal government of Nigeria needs to infuse technology in the educational system. ICT has the capacity to change the entire process of learning, thereby bringing more originality to it. ICT promotes self-instruction, it promotes retention, and make learning more concrete and real. Furthermore, according to Eric Ashby, 1960, it said that high-quality teachers produces high-achieving learners. What does this mean? The federal government needs to deliberately employ, recruit teachers who are qualified and certified. Okay, teachers who will be deliberate, who will be committed in delivering quality education, which will in turn better its system. Finally, teachers are responsible. Teachers are responsible for national development. Their government, you need to create a system that rewards teachers. If teachers are not treated the way they ought to, they would get weary in well-doing. Dear government, pay your staff and on time. Give them bonuses. Take them out on trainings on a regular basis. There will be no better system of education if its teachers are pulling out of the system. I hope this advice will go a long way in helping the educational system become the best in the world. Thank you.
You have anything to say?
No, I think I'm good with you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All protocols duly and well observed. There's never been a time where the Nigerian educational system has come under huge scrutiny than a time like this. Incessant strikes, security challenges, and more importantly, 19 million out-of-school children. While there have been significant improvements with the introduction of TVET and other curriculum developments, there's still more to be done. That is why I, Akutieri Babatunde Ayonshola, propose the following. 1, a split education system. What do I mean by this? One whereby each state is allowed to develop an education system based on their needs and access to resources. 2, support for EdTech and low-cost education. Access to digital tools have proved to help children learn better because of access to resources. And while low-cost schools are our best bet to reach these out-of-school children, when we do this, we have children have multiple options to pick for their presentations, engagements, and assessments. And in so doing, we have a learning framework that is all-inclusive for all the learners. Thirdly, greater attention to data and the use of data, especially from the points where children come into school up until graduation. When we do this, we have access to vital documents, facts and statistics that we can use to develop frameworks that help the children. Let us note in conclusion that supervision and taking best practices from other countries to see what has worked for them, and more importantly, increasing the remuneration for staff and students getting access to more materials will go a long way in helping our educational system. Let us know that when we apply all of these considerations, we'll have a better education system, and then our education can be one of the best in the world. Thank you.
You have a question, please?
Can you expound more on that split system?
Okay, what I'm saying is that let's look at Kaduna at the moment. Kaduna is facing security challenges, and then Kogi just finished flooding. So that means if I'm setting curriculum for the next year, if I am not from Kaduna, my emphasis on security education shouldn't be as much as a state where there is flooding. So if Kogi is doing our own curriculum for the next year, there should be emphasis on how do I survive during flood, so that each person faces what they have strength and needs, and then they can build their curriculum instead of a unified system that covers everything.
And of course, that means a yearly renewal of curriculum, is that it?
Not necessarily, because I think we are better prepared when the children, because when we pass this knowledge to the children,
we are better prepared to face them. So it won't necessarily mean we have to change it, but at least at every time where there is something, we should be flexible enough to modify them.
I appreciate it, but I might say some more later. No problem.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good day, viewers. My name is Theophila Effiong Hansen, and I'm here to proffer possible ideas to the federal government of Nigeria on how to make the educational system better. Firstly, the entry of teachers into the teaching profession should be synchronized and based on professionalism. It is often said that the successful implementation of any educational programs of any sort lies upon the availability of necessary and quality teachers. Hence, teachers that must be employed into the sector must be qualified, and it must be based on professionalism. Secondly, the appointment of commissioners, ministers, and directors of education must be based on professionalism. Only educationists who have been and have had experience in the classrooms should be appointed into these offices, and the appointments should cut across the 6 geopolitical zones of the Federation. Thirdly, the government should encourage and organize trainings for teachers at all levels of education, making it affordable even for teachers at the grassroots levels. Now, the welfare and the salaries of teachers should be prioritized at all costs. Behind every profession are teachers. So the government should take into consideration the payment of teachers' salaries and their pensions. Now, there is a need for the government to review quality assurance and inspection, as this will keep the teachers in check and help the educational system move forward. Now, away from the teachers, the government should leverage on the use of technologies at all levels of education, even to the grassroots level. Now, the government should ensure that they build new infrastructures and also renovate the already existing ones, ensuring that these infrastructures are gender sensitive and they are available to all, including people living with disabilities. Then the government should also introduce the system of the transformation center in schools. This is otherwise known as a rehabilitation center that gives students with character issues and unruly behavior one-on-one opportunities to have clinical assessments with guardians, counselors. Instead of sending them out of school and sending them to the street to become users, the government should adopt this method that was proposed by David Ibiome and has been yielding tremendous results at Hokma International School, Port Harcourt. Now, the government should also ensure that there is a provision of free medical services to teachers and students in rural areas, especially in public schools in rural areas who do not have access to social amenities. Then lastly, the government should ensure that there is adequate security for students in and within and around the learning environment to ensure that the education of these people, these students, are not halted as a result of insurgency and insecurity. Thank you.
Thank you, housemate number 10. I just want to ask a question. Do you think the appointments made in the Ministry of Education generally, I'm talking about the commissioners and ministers now, are not based on professionalism?
To some extent, although I do not really have a proof to this, but I feel that is how it should be.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me once again. Hub protocol duly observed. I have recently done a comparative education on USA, Sweden, Finland, Germany vis-a-vis our country, dear Nigeria. Have considered critically the SDG 4 on quality education for all, which has 10 targets. Having gone through all this, I observed that Nigeria, my dear country, is still far behind, and we have a task to do before 2030, the deadline of these 17 SDGs. The federal government of Nigeria, I want to act today as one-day special advisor on education matters. I want you to listen to me. In 2022, that we are in now, UNESCO recorded that we have 30 million out-of-school children. By implications, if these 30 million children must go back to school, we need 260,000 teachers to be employed by 2023. We need 13,000 schools to be constructed by 2023, or not before 2023. if we must achieve all these things. By implications again, other schools that we all know are overstaffed, and we know that they are overpopulated again, and they don't have all the necessary facilities. They need to be equipped also. The federal government of Nigeria needs to support educational programs, just like Teachers Naija reality TV show. Many people don't support educational programs. That's why people don't regard us as a good country, a quality country, because we have low regard for education. The government should set out a legislation on compulsory airing of educational programs on our TV stations, radio stations, once in a day, at least, maybe 30 minutes in a day. Then, for those people who want to showcase their programs on TV, the TV station should charge them 50% less than the usual entertainment programs. If all these things can be put in place, I'm sure our country, my country, Nigeria, will become great again. Above all these things, if there is no monitoring of what goes on in our educational system, I don't think we are going nowhere today. I want us to set up a monitoring committee whereby everything we have said to be put in place will be well monitored, and we will look up and say, yes, this is the Nigeria of our dream. If all these things are mentioned, vis-a-vis the SDG4 and the 10 targets, I believe Nigeria will be great. My name is Ladipo Abiodun Emmanuel. I am the one-day special advisor on education matters. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I totally appreciate your presentation.
Thank you, ma.
And I've seen that you've talked about the policy and the strategy.
Yes, ma.
But I don't think I heard you say anything about the content, like content delivery, curriculum, and delivery, and the role of the teacher in all of this. Do you not think that teachers have roles to play also in this?
Very well, ma. We have a lot of roles to play. I have to manage the time I bought on this TV station because I know what it cost me. But if I have more time, I have a lot of things to discuss. In fact, teachers are the bedrock of our educational system. The quality of a nation is dependent on the quality of the teachers in that nation. A nation that is blessed with good teachers is known to triumph and to boost every aspect of the country, because an educated nation is a wealthy nation. In fact, teachers these days, we have more tasks to do. A teacher, despite your MBED, MED, you must have certifications like the TRCN is a must, especially in this 21st century now. A good teacher who wants to disseminate all this information must have what we call Microsoft Certified Educator, MCE, whereby you will be privy to all the Microsoft tools that is needed to disseminate all this information, especially in this time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, ma.
The chairman, judges, and all other protocols duly observed. My name is Tunde Queen Etana. Today we're talking about how to make the education system in Nigeria better, and as a matter of fact, the best in the world. I'll first begin with stating the problems we're facing in the sector. We have cases of low income of educators, less room for development and training of educators, inadequacy in provision of learning and school materials. We also have cases of poor infrastructure. And to crown all these, little or no implementation of decisions and laws made already. Mr. Chairman, sir, if you would oblige me, I would give the following advices. Number one, enforce systemized learning, which includes but not limited to the use of ICT across all schools in the Federation. Number two, encourage teaching and learning in local languages for the learners to be able to know these before being introduced to English and its complexities. Furthermore, I would advise a reasonable increase in remuneration of educators alongside intensive development and training sessions. A conducive environment is synonymous to effective learning. It is pertinent to note that there will always be children to teach, but will there be quality educators to teach them? I would also advise that the school infrastructures be looked into. While we wait for all these to be implemented, lest I forget, you have to also take a look at those children in the remote areas. Ensure that greater considerations are given to them, especially to the primary education in numeracy and literacy. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. House number 15, you made mention of teaching in our local languages.
Yes, sir.
I quite like that, actually.
Thank you, sir.
Because some countries like China, some Asian countries, others are doing that, and they have a better understanding of the lessons taught.
Yes,
but
sir.
do you think that is possible and feasible in Nigeria?
Yes, sir, it is. Because especially, like I also cited remote areas. There are children there who are not exposed to English. And then you want to teach them something, you can't just come with speaking English to them. But if there is a means where they can understand their own local language, of course they must have been trained in it, then you can communicate to them. And it is often recorded that children who do not even speak English perfectly are the ones who do exploits in the world, especially technologically.
So you're saying that should be in the remote parts of Nigeria?
We can begin from there because that's where we have more children who do not have access to education on their own.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All protocol duly observed. My name is Joy Igbe Ekele, housemate number 18. Our educational system have really evolved and lots of new ideas have been introduced into it. However, I would love to advise the federal government on how to make our educational system a top-notch in the world. One, according to Gibson 1971, the process by which the learning resources are being produced to make learning effective in the world is through educational technology. So one of my advice to the federal government is to improve on our technology in the world by making the teachers and the learners to effectively learn how to use this ICT equipment. Let me cast our mind back to 2020 when the world was hit with a virus called Corona. Coronavirus really affected our educational system here, whereby most developed countries were having online lessons at home. But 70 to 80% of our teachers and learners were at home doing nothing. So please, the federal government should look into it because it will help our teachers to fit into the social life of the society and the community at large. It will also make learning to be real, immediate, and permanent. And it will also encourage creativity and inquiry spirit in our learners and the teachers. Secondly, I would like to advise the federal government to focus more on skill acquisition. By doing this, it will make our learners to be self-reliant in the future, and it will also reduce unemployment in the country. Lastly, I would like to advise the federal government to create a conducive teaching and learning environment in school. A happy teacher makes happy learning. So I want to advise the federal government to adapt to the system of 20 learners to 2 teachers in the class. By doing this, it will give the teacher more time to understand their learners and have one-on-one with the learners. I hope with this advice, the federal government will work on it to make our educational system a top-notch in the world. Thank you.
Not from me.
Well, I love you made mention of skill acquisition. The idea you gave about skill acquisition, it will really help youth to be self-reliant and reduce unemployment in the society. I quite appreciate you very much, housemate number 18. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, esteemed viewers. All protocols duly observed. My name is Wuam Suve Isaac. I'm a fellow of Teach for Nigeria, currently working at St. James African Church Primary School at Kionla, Obafemi Owode local government area of Ogun State. I stand to make propositions to the federal government on improving the educational standard of the country. Before I proceed, a standard education is one that seeks not only to inculcate in the learners the ability to read and write, but one that also creates in the learners the ability to think, to create, and to influence their communities for positive impact and change. Now, education, as much as every other sector of the country, requires the collaborative effort of several other subsystems in order to be able to work collaboratively with respective stakeholders to deliver desired results. Now, in spite of the efforts made in the past and ongoing efforts to give us quality education, I wish to make the following propositions if we are going to stay relevant on the global education scene. The following are my propositions. Number one, there should be massive employment of teaching staff across all levels of education. As a primary school teacher, I'm aware that there are no fewer than 150,000 primary schools across the country, and this does not include the number of primary schools owned by private organizations. Yet, there is a whopping 10.8 million children that are out of school. What does this suggest? It suggests that there is a great need for more staff to be recruited into the teaching process and the educational space at large. Number two, there is need to upgrade the quality and standard of infrastructure and facilities available for teaching and learning in our schools across all levels. This is because you cannot guarantee quality education without quality infrastructure and facilities. Number three, I call also for quality training and retraining of teachers and all staff across the education sector. This will enhance quality service delivery and quality results that can stand shoulder to shoulder with what is obtainable on the global education scene. Number four, there is need to inculcate or integrate ICT and 21st century technologies and techniques in the process of teaching and learning across all school levels, both primary, secondary, and tertiary alike. There is also the need to integrate the SDGs in the learners and the school systems alike, so that the learners, as they are going through the school, they develop the need to sustain their environment and promote prosperity in their communities. Lastly, before I leave, there is need for the government to put more or upgrade the reservation in their budgetary allocation to the education sector, as all of this cannot be achieved without requisite allocation of the budget to boost up the education sector. For want of time, I'll rest at this point. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Honestly, I must appreciate you. I'm very much happy that you've been able to link education to the development of creativity and innovation in our children and in the pupils. Of course, education should be approached from the position of problem solving. We definitely should see education as a means to solving problems in the society. That means building entrepreneurial mindset in the pupils at whatever level, primary, secondary, and tertiary. Thank you very much for that.
You're welcome, man. Thank you so much.
This is the Teachers Reality Show.
The Teachers Naija Reality Show.
Fighter from Naija, 60 years of comfort. Quality is vital from. Quality is vital from for sure. Is vital. Thank you for all the joy, memories of comfort.
Vitafoam is proudly Nigerian and constantly support Nigerians with consistent quality product for comfort and well-being. With Vitafoam, you don't just sleep. We give you comfort that gets you recharged. Vitafoam, the fine art of living.
The Teachers Naija Reality Show.
Okay, great teachers. You're all welcome to the feedback session. We appreciate you. You're all smartly dressed and you've done good. Okay, so just a few points that I wanted to bring to your attention. Contestant number 7. When you mentioned 24%, moving from 24% budgetary allocation to 98%, I waited to internalize it first before finding out from you, is that realistic? Is it possible 24% to 98% budgetary allocation?
The budgetary allocation currently for education is substandard for Nigeria, and if we intend to achieve the goal we set to achieve, right, we need to meet up with our counterparts around the world. It really needs to be increased to that extent. So I feel it's very realistic if the government are actually willing to do that, ma'am.
Maybe some more. Well, 98%. We have other needs in this country.
Absolutely.
And I didn't hear so many of you talk about the curriculum. Of course, all the points you raised were good, but then I feel too the content is important, and the delivery, you understand, is very, very critical. And so I was expecting some of you to talk about beyond your days as a teacher, what happens, your pension, whatever. No mention of that, so you're comfortable with what is now?
If they are given the grants yearly, after they are retired, they have something to fall back to, because the grant serves as empowerment for them to have something on ground.
Okay.
Okay, I also mentioned that under the teachers' welfare and salaries, that their salaries and pensions should be prioritized, because behind other professions, we have teachers.
Okay, Mr. Anyanwu, do you have some more to talk to them about?
Yes, of course I do. I just want to once more appreciate you all for a job well done.
Thank you, sir.
And I just want to tell you too that when we talk about ICT training, it goes beyond going for the training being sponsored by the school or the government. We should be able to train ourselves. We should be able to develop ourselves. We don't just sit and wait to be trained. You can go ahead and train yourself. You understand? And if you can spread that good news everywhere, before Jack, everyone would have been trained. And finally, let me also talk about the housemate number 5 mentioned about the research center, NERC, that they should do more research, as if they are not doing enough research.
I mentioned National Education Research Development Council because that the federal government should work with them, so that even the students, the universities, students, the teachers and the lecturers can have something to work on. They will have theories. Okay, and almost everyone mentioned free education, housemate number 1, number 3, number 13. Almost everyone talked about free education. With the case we have in the country, is it really feasible to have free education across primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions? Education is not free, we know, but is it really possible to have free education in all the cadres of schools?
I think basic free education is possible because it is obtainable outside the developed country. I feel every child in a country should have access to basic education. And talking about other institutions or like secondary education or tertiary education, that's why I talk about government liaising with private organizations to subsidize their tuition fee. If government can subsidize tuition fee from those private organizations, then children from low-income homes could balance up and afford or access the education. And that will put less pressure on public universities or public institutions that are primarily being sponsored by the government.
Well, Ms. Shulamite, I think I just wish I have this set of teachers in my school.
Really?
They are really something else.
Thank you so
much.
You're lovely. You're lovely. Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is the Teachers Reality Show.
The Teachers Naija Reality Show.
Oyari, I mean, those were some very deep pieces of advice.
You have no idea. I mean, I feel like that's even an understatement. Our teachers are super smart. So smart. I mean, look at all the points they brought in.
But I wonder what's going on. Like, these are things that we could see. I mean, very visible.
Yes.
More students, less students, more teachers. I mean, inculcating e-education into the curriculum.
Technology, training the teachers, taking them abroad for, exchange programs. I mean, those were really profound points.
And you know what got me? The fact that someone actually talked about shows like this.
Exactly.
You know, when we were growing up, we had shows.
Educational shows.
Yeah, what these times were in Yoruba, all this Tamo and Balaya. You know.
I didn't watch those ones, but I watched Tales by Moonlight. I really love those ones.
Can you imagine?
Well, that's
Well, viewers at home, we welcome back to Teachers Naija Reality TV show. I hope you learned a lot. I mean, you can't.
Our teachers are breathtaking, really. I really hope you've listened. And most importantly, I hope you tagged the Ministry of Education because this is for them.
Well, if you did not tag it, well, they can go to our YouTube to always get all of this, and I'm sure they would have best of what our teachers have said. Yeah, and don't forget to keep voting and voting because it ends on the 13th of November 2022 by 7 a.m. So for you to do that, go to our own website at www.teachersnaija.com.
And you can also do that by going to www.elfric.com/s/TN. And like I always say, you have to keep tabs and engage with your teachers. Do that by going to our social media platforms at Teachers Naija on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
And of course, to our YouTube, don't forget, always follow and subscribe to our YouTube page at Teachers Naija Reality TV Show.
Thank you so much for staying with us this far. From Baba Shewin and we are saying
bye.
This is the Teachers Reality Show.
The Teachers Naija Reality Show.
Hello, wonderful people. Thank you so much for the journey so far. Your support has been massive. God bless you tenfold. I appreciate you in and out. Finale is close by, and I'm on probation. For you to keep me to the last stage of this competition, I need you to vote for me to scale through this last eviction. Otherwise, I'm ready to come home to meet you guys. All right, to vote for me, visit the platform www.teachersnaija.com, and on the screen, you will get the order display option for you to vote. Thank you very much for supporting me, and God bless you.
Hello viewers, it's Omar Bashir once again, housemate number 3. I'm on probation again, and I'm really sorry for putting you in this position, but at this stage now, this is where I need your help the most. As in, it is very important for you to keep voting for me to get to the grand finale. Please, as much as possible, I need your continuous vote and support. I want to appreciate the effort of my school, GSS Anagada, Junior Secondary School Anagada, also Secondary Education Board, class of BJY, class of SOSAN, my media team, especially Auntie Kate, Patience, Benga, Samuel, Jonathan, Larry, Kabir, Farouk, my dad, everyone. I really do appreciate your effort. I won't let you down, and with your votes, I'm heading to the final by the grace of God, and we're bringing back the money. To vote for me, please go to the website www.teachersnaija.com. Thank you very much.
Good day, everyone. Thank you so much for the support you have given me all this while. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all your votes so far. This time is one of the toughest times in my life. I am one of the semi-finalists of this contest, and I'm presently on probation. I need you to vote me out of probation. I want to go into the final stage of this competition, and I promise to make you proud. I'm using this opportunity to call on Lagos State Ministry of Education, Education District 2. I'm using this opportunity again to call on Redeemed Christian Church of God, Region 2. I'm using this opportunity to call on Redeemed Christian Church of God, Lagos Province 8. I'm using this opportunity to call on the Alumni Associations, Federal College of Education, Technical Akoka, the Alumni Association, University of Lagos. I need your vote this time around. I am here. I'm also using this time to reach out to all my students, past and present. Please vote for me. Convert vote for me. Let me come out of this probation, and I promise to make you proud during the final stage. And to vote for me, please visit www.teachersnaija.com, or you visit www.healthfreak.com/s/TN. Vote Ladipo. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, this is Ambrose Adenike Okwande, your housemate number 5. I really want to appreciate you for what you have done so far, taking me this far. This time around, I'm on probation and I need you to take me out of probation. You need to vote, continue to vote for me, NUT Oshodi, NUT Ikorodu, Education District 6. This is the time I need you most. RCCG Adulam area. This is your daughter. She needs you now. How do you vote? You go to www.teachersnaija.com and that's how you vote. Immediately when you see my face, you vote for me. Thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Miss Temple, housemate number 8, and of course your favorite teacher. I really want to thank you for how far you have brought me. Thank you for your constant votes every now and then. Thank you for not getting tired of me. Thank you for wanting to see my face on this show. But we cannot get tired, all right? I still need you to vote for me. I still need you to continue to vote for me as we approach the finals. And you know that our eyes is on the prize, okay? So we cannot afford to go home now. So please continue to vote for me, continue to pray for me. I am doing my best in the house. I'm giving my all in the house. So please, as I'm doing my part here, you also need to do your part. Don't forget to go to the website, www.teachersnaija.com, and the other website is displayed on your screen. And of course, click on vote. Click on here to vote. You search for me, Temple, click on the vote under my picture and you can vote as many times as possible. Please, 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 let us continue to vote. Let us continue to push. All right, thank you so much and I love you all. Bye.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for your support, your love. I've been feeling it so over here, it's so overwhelming. I just want to let you know that I'm on probation again, and this is the last probation before the grand finale. So please keep voting for me. I'm calling on all Kogi State people, Abuja moms, Dunamis Church. I'm calling on all parents and colleagues of Windsor Law School, Abuja, Oakland British International School, Tender Year School. Please vote for me. I need to scale through to the grand finale, and I will only scale through with your vote. So please keep voting for me. To vote for me, visit the website www.teachersnaija.com or www.elfreak.com/s/tn. Thank you.
All right, good evening, viewers. My name once again is Uwamsuvi Isaac. I'm housemate number 19. I want to say a very big thank you to my wonderful team of supporters. I really appreciate all the work you've been doing. As a matter of fact, I'm still in the house right now because you are out there working very hard to see that the votes are coming in on my behalf. Next week, we'll be going into the finals and I'm still on probation. So I call on you to keep voting. The links are open. The links are www.teachersnaija.com and www.elfreak.com/sn/s/tn. Kindly keep voting to keep me in the house and take me into the finals. Thank you very much. I appreciate you and I don't take the work you're doing for granted. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone. My name is Olubumi Victoria Onori, housemate number 6. I want to say a very big thank you to all my fans, my family, Team Bumi, for a good job well done. You have brought me this far, and I will say a big thank you once again. But please, we cannot stop now. The finals will be next week, and I'm begging for your continuous support. Please vote for me to get to the finals and also win the money. Please vote. To vote, go to www.teachersnaija.com. Thank you.
they all grow to become strong.